Morning calm this morning. And today what we're talking about is what is hell? Like if we think of what hell is, what is it? And it's obviously we could talk about it being a place. And today I want to talk about it being a state of mind because we've all been there. It's interesting with how we use the phrase all the time. Well, that felt like hell. Well, it does. And we know that we can sadly we can experience it. And so let's take a little deeper dive into what it is. So in our lives, again, we've been looking at this inner self, outer self part of looking at a story in the Bible that talks about this. And there's this inner self that just is pure mutual love, and that is incredibly like it's beyond good news. It means that down at the very very core, you go down as deep as you can get to humanity. What do you hit as bedrock? Well, what you hit is mutual love. It's a beautiful thing. Many of us are asleep to it. I think we're all asleep to it most of the time, but we do get to wake to that more and more, our true inner self. And then there's this outer self, and the outer self is the part that's filled with all the bad stuff, the fears, the anxieties, the jealousies, the all that garbage. And eventually, the bad part of the outer self has to split off. And there's a good part; that's a whole nother conversation. But the bad part has to split off. And why is that? Because it's just it's grounded in the parts of the human experience that are not going to be very helpful to us in our lives. And that's what I want to read a little bit about, a little bit to you here on that. This is from the book Secrets of Heaven, talking about it when faith kind of goes that way, goes bad, as it would say. This kind of faith cannot have any life in it, since hatred, hell in other words, constitutes its life. Hell consists of pure hatred, not the kinds of hatred that we inherit, but the kinds that we secure for ourselves by the way we actually live. So what that means is that when you look at what is hellish, it's what is sort of mired in hatred. And that's interesting, right? Because hell is hatred, hatred is hell. If you want to know what how hell works, how hell functions, just look at the concept of hate, and that'll give you an idea. And the beautiful part too is, folks, and this is where like we can get a little despairing about that. But this is the beautiful part. The default for humanity is actually this much more positive mutual love. When we get rid of all that other stuff, the good stuff comes to the fore. So it's about getting rid of this because this already is. And in a sense, this external stuff is a mirage, it's an image, it's a shadow. It's not who we actually really are. A story years ago that I heard, we actually used it in New Church Live a few times. It was just a beautiful story. It was a story about a family. They were down in Alabama, and it actually was a Lebanese family. So they were actually targeted by the KKK. We usually think of, sadly, we think of how many African Americans were targeted by them. Well, this time the KKK attacked this Lebanese family. So what happened with this Lebanese family? They were out one night and they come back and their house had been firebombed by the KKK. Their whole house is up in flames. And the grandmother collects the family the next day at another house, and this was her conversation on it. She calls and this is very much a matriarchal household, and she called everybody's attention, and she just said, "I have three things to say: no hate, no hate, no hate." Boy, is that powerful! No hate, no hate, no hate, because she knew that that was the actual enemy, and she knew that that was what they needed to get rid of. And it's also amazingly this appeal to mutual love. Like when we hear that, I imagine vast majority of humanity hears that and goes, "Oh yeah, that's right, that's true, that's the way to live without hate." So that is the thought for today, folks. So what is hell? Hell is hatred. And what is the answer to that? No hate. Made even more simpler. Just goodwill. Just bring goodwill to everybody who you run across to in your life today. So that's the thought for today, my friends. And what we're going to do now we're going to do our little meditation, our little prayer, our little blessing. So what I'd ask you to do is just get a little breath here and listen to the prayer bell. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's give a little cheery hello to folks and say hi, see how everyone out there is doing. And again, just a reminder, folks, that many people leave comments later on in the week, which is totally fine as well. In fact, most people leave comments later on in the week, so that's all good. It's just wonderful to hear from you folks. All right, let me see if this one here loads up quickly enough. There we go. All right, a couple of comments there. All right, Gene, good morning to you, my friend. And Marcus, good morning to you. So wishing you folks all the very best. God bless. Have a wonderful day. And a little comment here about supporting New Church Live. Like our content? It's funded by viewers like you. Please consider becoming a sustaining supporter of New Church Live today. Have a wonderful day, my friends.